so I may have gotten a little bit ahead of myself. So as you can see, we got majority of our engine bay torn apart. So we got the intake manifold out, we got our entire cooling system taken apart, a lot of our hoses are out, we even got our fan out, and then we got our actual intake stuff out as well. Now the only thing that we don't have disconnected just yet is the VANOS system itself, and then our exhaust headers, which we're gonna tackle right now. But everything else we got removed, we labeled with numbers that correspond to some notes I've been taking so I know where everything goes. But I should have recorded it, but what ended up happening was I said I was just gonna take apart a few things, and then a few things turned into a lot more things, and things were just kind of going along, so I didn't really stop myself to record. But yeah, for the most part, it wasn't too bad. I think it's just a lot of wiring, especially underneath the intake manifold. You kind of have to be a little bit careful, but nothing too crazy, so you could definitely do this yourself. But now, like I mentioned, we're going to be tackling the VANOS system right here, the exhaust headers that we have installed here. Those bolts look very rusty, so I'm not sure how difficult that's going to be. But then from there, we'll start disassembling the actual bolts that are holding down the head itself, and then hopefully get this thing out. As for kind of the steps involved, really not sure. I'm just following some documentation I'm seeing online how to do this, and yeah, I guess let's just continue and see how it goes. We got the headers off, as you guys just saw, and now I think we basically have everything unbolted from the head itself, other than the VANOS system. So we have the VANOS system right here, and to get the VANOS system off, you are going to need some specialty tools, if you want to call them that. But I got this little kit off Amazon. This is, I don't know what they call it. I think this is just the VANOS tool right here. This is, I think, and I could be wrong, the flywheel pin. I think this sits in the block somewhere so that it locks everything in place. And I think it sits like right down there somewhere. I gotta figure that out. So you have that, and then you have the camshaft locking tool, and I think this thing just keeps everything at top dead center. Again, I'm guessing half the time, and I'm learning the other half of the time. So we got everything off, and I think that's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. But now it's kind of just the main portion of unbolting everything from the VANOS, unbolting the head itself, and then pulling everything out. One thing that's been super helpful to me, and I mentioned in the last video, is eManual Online. I got my factory service manual from them, and in there it kind of gives me a step-by-step on how to remove the head, how to remove the VANOS system. So I've been kind of just using that to familiarize myself as best as possible. I'll leave a link in the description down below so that you guys can go click that, get one for yourself if you're doing a similar job on your E36, or if you're doing any type of service or repair work on any of your cars. I've been using that E36 one a lot, just to make sure that I'm doing everything right. Like, one of the main things that I probably will have to look at it again is the unbolting sequence for the head. I know that it's best to bolt it up in a certain sequence, but I've heard it's also good to unbolt it in that same sequence. But what that sequence is, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at the manual. I'll leave the link down in the description below, and you guys can use that to get one for yourself, and also helps me out a little bit and gives me a little bit more funds to continue working on these cars and these cool projects. we've been slowly plugging away at the disassembly of the S52 motor here, and we did come across what was a little bit of a concern to me, at least, and that was that our intake cam was out of time. So when I took everything apart, we have these cam locking tools right here, and they're supposed to basically sit flat against the head right there at the outer edges, and it wasn't doing so. It turned out that instead of sitting at like a 10 o'clock, so the cam lobe right here needs to sit at, I think it's 10 o'clock, and then this one should be sitting at like a 2 o'clock. Instead of sitting at 10, it was actually sitting at like 9, maybe like 8:30, and because of that, our cam locking tool wasn't sitting how it's supposed to. So it wasn't sitting flat, and if it was sitting flat, that cam piece that kind of comes into the tool wasn't sitting into that recess like it's supposed to. So what I ended up doing was unlocking some of these bolts right here. This basically locks the intake cam to the exhaust cam, and from there I turned the intake cam to the point where it should be. So now we're at time, but it doesn't really matter because we're gonna be removing everything anyway. But I just kind of wanted to go through the process just for myself, learn how it works and so on. But this is kind of the steps that we're going to be taking once we actually have to put everything back together. But for now, at least, we got all of our bolts on the VANOS system removed. We have our VANOS solenoid disconnected. Make sure that we're plugging all that up, as you can see the yellow tape. But now we need to do what I think is probably the most difficult part, and that's actually removing the VANOS system and getting it off, which yeah, I'm just looking at the manual and just following along step by step to make sure that I'm doing this properly. So I'm gonna continue, put the camera down, and I'll show you guys the progress as we go through it. We just finished the most scary part, but also it was very fun at the same time. I really enjoyed it. A lot of learning, but we got everything disassembled for the most part now, and that is now sitting on my workbench. So we have the VANOS system itself, the solenoid, the exhaust, and the intake gears, as well as the other exhaust gear, all the plates that kind of go along with that assembly. The upper chain tensioner, this thing just holds the chain in place, I believe, and then lower chain tensioner, I think. Like I said, I don't know. And then on this side, we have all of our tools. We have our camshaft position sensor. This thing looks fairly new. I don't think I need to replace it. Maybe just throw on a new O-ring on it. But we will need to replace our exhaust hardware. That stuff has seen better days. But the rest of it, I might just replace while I'm at it, like the valve cover hardware. I might just replace it just so it looks a little bit nicer. And then the beauty cover on the valve cover I want to replace because mine is pretty beat up. But overall, this place is a mess, but this is exactly why we got this big workbench to do exactly this kind of stuff. But I think I'm gonna call it here for this video at least. In the next video, we'll aim to get the actual head out of the car, and I'll give you guys what the game plan is for this thing, whether we're gonna build it for boost, whether we're gonna be building it just for more NA power. Whatever the plan is, I'll let you guys know in the next video. In terms of the overall game plan, we're trying to get this thing done before the E30 gets back. That's the goal. We want to be able to drive this thing, move it around so that the E30 can come sit in the garage, this thing can come in and out of the garage, and we have this thing as well. So that's the game plan. I don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish it just yet. I don't know how long the machine shop's going to take with the head. And obviously we need to order parts and so on as well. But with that, we'll end right here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.